Your business is in sync with LiveSync. This webinar is powered by LiveSync Accounting and Xero Accounting Software. Introducing Attorney Dexter Destajo.
Now, let's start with cloud accounting overview. So, I know many of you may be familiar about cloud accounting, but to those who are not, let me introduce to you this idea or this concept. Actually, cloud accounting, or otherwise known as an online accounting or internet accounting. Now, what is cloud accounting? Basically, it's the same accounting activities that accountants do or businesses would do. The only difference is that we're using an internet-based accounting tools and software. The data we put in or input in this in this system is real time, sent, saved, backed up automatically, secured in a remote server, or what we typically know as a CPU. And then these CPUs are actually cloud service because they are located outside of the Philippines. We don't have any cloud or server farms in the Philippines, not that I know of, but mostly of this is in Singapore, in the US, or in the Europe, okay? The accounting data we have in the system can be accessed and updated real time. So you can access that using your laptop, your desktop, your mobile phone, and to your surprise, you can even access the information in your Apple Watch if you have that already. Now, if we have cloud accounting, we will have also called cloud or online accountants. So this is normally what we call ourselves nowadays, and to emphasize that we are trained in performing online activities. So if you are a freelancer or you are a firm that caters clients overseas by using tools and software for accounting, then you can call yourself as a cloud or online accountant. Now, let's talk about the distinction between the traditional accounting and the cloud accounting. Now, the traditional accounting, as we know, at least in the Philippine setting, is we have the books of account, which we buy the journal. Mind you, you still need to use that because that is a BIR compliance until you have applied for a system-generated accounting or a loss leaf submission. You have to maintain the cash book journal, no, in compliance with our BIR, and there's no way to go away with that. You have to comply that. Now, the traditional accounting would use journals. If you are a little bit advanced, you might use Excel. Now, if you are a company who's willing to invest a software, most likely your company would buy what you call a desktop accounting software. What is a desktop accounting software? This is a CD that you buy on the shelf where you download in a specific computer, okay, in your laptop. And traditional accounting, as of today, is because it remains to be, I think, the only cost-effective way of doing accounting today. In the Philippines, this is still the acceptable practice. But mind you, Philippines is a little bit behind by 10 years as far as accounting is concerned. In Europe, in New Zealand, in Australia, and in the US, and also here in the Middle East, businesses would prefer using now cloud accounting rather than a traditional accounting because of these problems that we have. One problem we will have is that, number one, the data in your system is not always up to date. And sometimes your software, because you bought it one time, it's not also updated. If you need to update your desktop accounting software, you need to buy a new version. Second would be it only works in one computer, and then the data you have there may bounce from place to place, no? And or maybe sometimes maybe you have two computers and then you have to copy using your USB or your disk or CD and then transmit that to another computer. And this is not very secure and reliable, because what if you lose this USB or you lose the data? We have all our shares as accountants of that experience. Only one person has user access. So many of our clients who move to Xero, one of the reasons is that particularly business owner they have only one accountant, and the information is always saved in the PC. And then if they need the information, they have to call the accountant, and then the accountant must go to that particular computer and then download that information. It's very inefficient. And voila, you know what happened in lockdown? Many people did not have access to financial information. So many businesses nowadays, particularly in the West, they are more driven into cloud-based or big data kind of technology, so that because in the business, to have an advantage, you have real-time access to your data. And you can only do that by using a cloud-based technology. The problem also is that key people who have access this, especially the owners, cannot access the financials and customer details. In fact, the level of cloud accounting technology right now would also allow you to share access of your accounting system even to your supplier or to your customer. Okay, there is a software already existing, a technology that we call it B2B or business to business cloud technology. And even your customer can also directly pay you on your accounting system, which we call it also business to customer technology. It is costly and very complicated, especially on the backup. If in case your company actually does backup, if you do not forget, if you do backup, there's still that risk that you will forget and then you will lose the data. I have that experience in the past where 1 year of data has been lost because either we forget to back up, the backup was misplaced and we cannot find it anywhere. And that is a very disadvantage. And in case accountants, as people, we do not actually rely on memory, okay, unless we have a very good process. Finally, customer support is expensive and slow. In our experience in the past, if you have a technician or a support, if that is even available for you, you might want to ask them to come to your location because your software is in one particular laptop. So for that to be fixed, your technician will have to come to your location. And it's very expensive and inefficient. In the cloud technology, that is totally different. So what is then the advantage of accounting, cloud accounting? So we can start with your data is current and real time. And everybody would have an overview of the financial information in one place, not in one computer, two computer, three computer, all your computer, as long as it has internet, you can access this data current and real time. The same way you can access whatever newsfeed you have in your Facebook. And Facebook is actually a cloud technology. Multi-users are also a general feature in many of the cloud accounting software. Multi-user access makes it easy to collaborate online with your team, with your accountants, with your operations people, with your external accountants, your auditors. Even you can just give access to your auditors without the auditor coming to your location. In our experience, this is very common already here in the Middle East. While the auditors may ask some papers, but many of the auditors right now try to be paperless. And then what we do is we lock in a certain accounting period and give them access to that. They can all the way see all the transactions in that system. Of course, they would have to test also the reliability of Xero at the beginning. Automatic updates means you can also spend more time on doing accounting, right? And then optimize what you can do. So 2 weeks ago, our UK Xero, what you call this, coordinator, I call it, who's taking care of us from the Xero side, they called us that there is an update, a short-term cash flow. So with this new update, we would now be able to help our clients, manage their cash flow as far as 30 to 45 days. And it's a very good update. And we were waiting for this in ages, and finally it's here. Everything about cloud accounting is online. So there's nothing to install. Everything is backed up automatically as soon as you input the data and save it. And then the updates, as I said, is always free and instantly available. So for Xero, the typical updates for Xero would always have an update, either a big or a minor update every 3 to 4 weeks without paying anything. Upfront business costs are reduced. Versions upgrade, maintenance system, administration costs, and server failures are no longer issues. Instead, they are being managed under your cloud service provider. What would happen is, if particularly for businesses who would want to have an accounting system, in the past they would have an ERP. They would invest either in-house or buy from on the shelf an existing complete suite of enterprise solutions, from HR to all these things. The problem with that is either it may take time for your supplier to develop it for you, or if you're buying, it would also be very expensive to implement. Okay, I have shared of that experience with all big names there in the accounting, in the ERP space. Okay, now with cloud technology, it's like a buffet. Do I need an accounting system? I'll pick Xero. Do I need a point of sale? I'll pick whether Sapad or maybe Ven. Okay, Ven. Okay, so then I plug Ven to Xero. Or maybe I need an inventory system. Oh, there are so many things in inventory system available that can plug in Xero. So maybe the leading now would be TradeEco, Unleash, or maybe you have Sin7, or the one that we always recommend is Deer System. So then I would do Deer System because I'm trading in my business and manufacturing as well. So I plug that with Xero. Oh, I need also an HR system. There are so many HR systems. One very popular right now in the Philippines is HR Easily. So you can plug that in Xero. I need a tax system that help me locally. Wow. In the Philippines, we have great innovators about this. If you're familiar with One Tax, they're very good on what they do. You can also connect that to Xero. So see, you don't need to get one supplier to get all the enterprise solutions for you. So you just have to go to the right buffet, or people who tell you, to the right people who tell you what are the buffet that is available for you, and then pick all of them, and then integration, because cloud accounting is actually integration, and that is the future for accounting. Okay, the days where a software company will have to develop all from scratch to app for all the features that you need to run your business, you can do that now in the cloud technology, where you can just buy several third-party apps. So Xero actually allows us to do 800 third-party apps available in their marketplace, where you can select Shopify, connect, WooCommerce, connected. Maybe you're doing Magento for your platform for your e-commerce, connected as well. So what else do you need? Maybe you need a print check. So there's Checkkeeper. You plug it in. You need a CRM. There's a lot. Capsule, Batchmates, and all that. You can connect as well. So there's so many things you can do in cloud technology, especially cloud accounting, because in the future, all this business resource or system would need to be connected to a cloud accounting system. So like Xero. So the leader right now would be Xero and QuickBooks Online. I explain to you that later. Customer support of the online accounting software is free. The minimum is that they will have an email support. Now, If you have problem with the software, you can just email the vendor. Within 24 hours or less, they will give you a reply. And then if there's a need for you or need for them to come into your system, you just give them a support access. Grant them the support access. They can come in and evaluate the data in your system, what's going on, what you did wrong, and then they can help fix. Alternatively, you have Xero advisors like us. You can add us as user in your Xero accounting system. And when you are retained, or example, you are retaining our service, for example, to help you hold your hand, optimize, and then maybe you have a problem, you did something wrong, you don't know what to do, you don't need to panic, you just have to call or email your Xero support or whoever is the Xero advisors that you are working with, and then they can come into your system and fix that without necessarily coming to you face to face. And that is very valuable today because in the time of lockdown and this pandemic, everybody wants to be safe. And you don't necessarily have to see the technician in person to help you fix your issues with Xero. And also there is that risk of data loss is very low. I would need to explain this because what would happen is if you are still using your system right now that is in your PC, I told you about those risks. And then when you are in the cloud accounting, everything is auto backed up. So maybe you forget something, and maybe while you're working, you spill a coffee in your PC. You don't need to worry because that data is backed up online. You will never lose that data. Now here's a question. How sure are we? How secure are we that we don't lose our data? That would be a question in your mind. The answer to that is, number one, if you're relying, I'm putting this in a simple terms, if you're working with your online banking right now, okay, if you're confident with your online banking right now, that same security technology behind online banking is the same security technology that is being used by these companies. Okay, and these are heavily invested companies. So Xero, for example, is a listed company in New Zealand and in Australia. So they spend a lot of time. Now, there is also what we call redundancy. So I'm not sure if I'm correct on this, but I remember someone told me that from Xero, where in the Philippines, our data within 24 hours is being backed up automatically in a Singapore server. I don't know if it's still true right now because now it is managed by Amazon Web Services. So your data is saved there. And then after 24 hours, your data is redundant in a server farm based in Ireland, for example. So just in case, and we do not want that, there is a system and power lockdown, or maybe, let's say, a nuke, would bomb one particular country, you would not have to be afraid because your data can still be accessed using the other server farm. So this is backed up already. Okay. Now, of course, there are share of disadvantages, right? So one of this would be recurring cost. The fee model for cloud accounting is subscription. So you have to pay every month if you want to use it. Now, if you stop using it, you can just cancel your subscription. At least for Xero, I'm not sure if this is still very true. 7 years, they will hold your data until you will come back and activate it. Otherwise, it's in your data, it's in their server, and it will not be lost within 7 years. So to keep using the system, you have to pay. The usual risk of data breach, like any technology, there is actually not 100% assurance, and this is true also for Xero. But like I said, if you compare this to what you're having right now, then there's actually still an advantage. The risk that I'm talking about here, hackers might be able to breach it. This is a major concern. But I would tell you my experience. I've been working with Xero, with the clients in Xero since 2012. I did not have any news or information on that number of years, or since 2006 when they set up, that they have a data breach. Okay, so they are now managed, they have a duplicate of security and very top tier security system. Limited customization. You cannot customize so much because when you buy it, whatever it's offered to you, that's it. Maybe you would want additional fields so that an information would show up in your system. That you cannot do. Whatever fields or text box that is there, available to you, that's the only thing that you can use, and you cannot add more. So that's a limitation. So you can do two things. Either you wait for an update, okay, it may take some time, or number two, you find another software that can be integrated to Xero that can answer your specific requirement. Example would be, you would need to track, if you're a trading company, you would want to track, if you have a big warehouse and you have multiple warehouse, you might want to track what items I took out from a bin and put that on a particular area, and then I packed it. I wanted to know what items I have packed already, and then what I wanted to know, what are those items that I have packed already that is delivered to the customer. If you need that kind very complicated, then you would need a sophisticated inventory system that connects to Xero, because Xero cannot do that, okay? Number four, which is a very true limitation, is it is internet connected system. So you would need always a internet connection to access Xero or your cloud accounting. Now, when you are buying for one organization, you have to buy one license, no? So it could be QuickBooks or other accounting system or cloud accounting system, you would need to buy one license per organization. Unlike when you buy a CD, right? When you buy a CD, install it, you can actually create multiple companies, right? That's very true. But in cloud technology, this is a disadvantage because you have to buy separate license, separate subscription per organization. So in the market, this is what is available now, and so far popular. So you have Xero, of course, and QuickBooks Online. You have Udo, you have MYOB, and then you have Zoho Books. Where I'm talking about cloud accounting software that are catering small businesses, because you have also that other cloud suites as well. And then you have also those sophisticated and more expensive. I'm just talking about a very not so much expensive type of accounting, cloud accounting systems available in the market right now. Now you might want to ask, I'm very interested, sir, which one is the best? I would say, maybe you would tell me it's biased, but I would say Xero is still the best. Why? Because Xero has more features and they are leader in the market, and everybody is catching up what Xero is doing. Okay, so 12 years ago, many things Xero has initiated and pioneered that all other systems actually, trying to catch up. Of course, QuickBooks Online comes second. It's equivalently competitive with Xero already. It's just that my feeling with QuickBooks is they're still very much into double ledger type. And like in Xero, it's single ledger approach, so it's easier for data entry to come in the system. But in terms of integration, they are very competitive. They're the same. Okay, but there are features in Xero that is not in QuickBooks as well. And there's a strength in QuickBooks in terms of inventory that Xero does not have. So just to be fair.